Folks, you love it when Beth Traverso comes on the channel because she is a top 1% agent. She tells it how it is. It may not be what you want to hear, but it is probably what you need to hear. And we are actually going to talk about the greater King County area, East Side, and Seattle, because as one might expect, they're actually acting a little bit different today. So, Beth, remind people which market you serve
Right.
most, and let's get into why there might be a difference.
Sure. First of all, this is always a highlight of my week sitting down with you and everybody here. So thank you, everybody who watches, and thank you for hosting, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Right.
So what got this conversation started was I had a lunch the other day with a very high producing agent friend of mine that works a lot in Seattle proper. So,
Okay.
and I'm in the Seattle area as well, but I'm on more on what we call the east side. So basically it's just you go over Lake Washington and there's a different area over there that's called the east side. And that's where I tend to do most of my work. So I was chatting with him about what's going on in Seattle, and he was saying that it was multiple offers and over list price on almost every house there. And it's interesting that I'm not really seeing that so much on the east side. And so we were chatting about, well, why is that? And that was an interesting conversation, I thought. And it just goes to show how there's different dynamics moving different parts of your market. And that's why, like, you're always emphasizing you really need to just drill down on your buy box, because if I was making decisions looking on the east side based upon what somebody else is seeing in Seattle or some overall overarching Seattle market data from like a Case Shiller or one of those, I know that was in the news today from January or whatever, but you're going to miss the boat on some things. So it's really important to know the nuances. And so one of the things that I looked a little bit more into, like, okay, what is the median price in Seattle? And it's 800,000, which is pretty consistent with the median price for King County overall. King County
Okay.
has about 2 million people in it. It's a big area. Seattle is about half of that, more or less. Seattle also, it has smaller, older, like craftsman style homes. There's thousands and thousands of those homes built there between, say, 1910 and 1940. Most of them, it's older homes, and they tend to be smaller, and the prices tend to be a little lower and maybe a little more accessible. I know 800,000 might not sound accessible to some people in other parts of the country, but if you got two incomes, two millennials, for example, making six figures a piece, like they can do that, and so it's more accessible. And then on the east side, the median home price is more around, well, in my part of the east side, it's about 1,250,000.
Oh,
So
50% higher.
it's
Okay.
quite a bit higher. And I think that is the move up buyer that we were talking about that is frozen. So I think that's part of why we're not seeing the multiple offers, even though our inventory is lower than ever. We're still not seeing the multiple offers. And
Yep.
there's that. And I think another thing that might be playing into it is the fact that on the east side, we have a higher concentration of tech workers than in Seattle proper. More of a mix over there, really intense. And for especially in the areas like, say, the Sammamish Plateau, where it's like almost everybody there is a software engineer. So I think that segment of the market is feeling a little maybe less secure right now with what's
Yeah.
going on out
One
there.
would think. One would think.
Yeah. And when people don't feel as secure, they tend to not make offers or not be as aggressive with their offers. So, and and it's interesting too, like, we've been talking a lot about that chart we looked at last week that showed the percentage over list. And it was crazy. And I looked to see, like, well, what was it in that east side area I was talking about, my little part of the east side, and in March 2022 it was 117%,
Oh my gosh, you were
117.2.
above 112. 112 was
Yeah.
the county.
Yeah, it was the
You
county.
you're so again,
East
folks, if you
side
don't know
even
what
higher.
yeah, if you don't know
Yeah.
what we're referring to, Beth Traverso brought us a chart that explains why we're going to have negative year-on-year growth in Seattle and King County. It's because last year, this time, inventory was so low. The average purchase was 112% above list price. And in King County, 117. That is not healthy. That is not normal. You are going to pay that back. And that is what's happening this year. That is 117. I've never seen that.
I know, and that actually in my real world boots on the ground, I was regularly seeing houses going 20 to 30% over list price every single week. So, but on average, it was 117 over list. So the And now the east side is selling at 98.2% of list price. So it's selling under list.
Much more normal.
That's
Yes,
not a bad thing, I would say.
I would agree.
Seattle, they're still selling a little bit over. So they're at 100.4. So it's not, and that's Seattle's a giant area too. So it's like,
and it's an average. So
yeah,
that's okay. I've seen that. 100%.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting to see how some parts, you know, the offer review date and the multiple offers are.
So I want to go back and just ask as a complete outsider, Seattle East Side. So again, we've already talked about median price. East Side's 50% higher, right? 1.2 versus 800.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know the answer, just tell. What is like available listings today, East Side versus Seattle? An idea? Are they equal because they're about the same size? Less on the East Side? What's like available?
I'd have to get
today?
back to you on that. I think it's less on the east side because I think there's more housing in the Seattle area than there is on the east side, because the east side is very suburby. You know, it was mostly built out in the 80s with bigger lots and things like that. You know,
that would be my guess.
It's just a lot more density in Seattle, where it's like little lots and lots of townhouses going in, infill and stuff like that. So it's going to be more in Seattle just from the population alone, you know. But I do know that, and it does feel like they have more inventory coming on over there than we do over here, but theirs seems to be popping a little more than on this side. So I am still seeing it too, where when something has the it factor, it goes, you know, whether it's high end or whatever it is. Like if it's presented well, staged well, looks great, priced great, everyone's doing their job right as far as, you know, the way the listing agent markets it and the way the seller presents it, you know, then those are the ones that are jumping. So, but you got to be very, very strategic about, you got to do it all the right way. It's not like where it was a year ago where you could literally, you know, so here's the thing too, it's so funny. It's like, we have to do a utility locate before the sign company will put the sign up. And so they put these little white flags where they do the utility locate. People would see those white flags and be like banging on the door, like, you selling your house? Wow. That's code for houses coming up for sale. Somebody might want to use, somebody out there might be able to use that as a way to see what's coming up on the market, by the way. You see that little locate flag out by the curb? Somebody's getting ready to post a for sale sign.
That's right. That's right. There you go. Little tool of the trade.
Right.
The other thing I want to do is talk about your market today. We're doing this first video all the time. What's going on with listings? Are they finally coming? Did the spring selling season land like a thud? What's going on with new listings? Because based on the numbers across the country, it's down 25%, which is wild to think about.
Yeah, we're not seeing the listing inventory coming on. The spring bump or surge never came. It's
and when is it historically over? Because again, people, to remind you, your season starts in January.
Yeah.
And we're almost in April.
I know. And so here's the thing. Last year, our market slowed down, like somebody flipped a switch around Easter. And the year before that, it was Mother's Day. So it's like somewhere between like Easter and Mother's Day. You know, April, May, that's when we see things start to slow down and stay slower.
And now when you say slower, we mean transactions.
Transactions, yes.
Okay.
And prices too, like the bidding wars back off in the summertime. Like sometimes when I've had clients that are just been clobbered too many times with the bidding wars, I would say, let's wait for the summertime, because oftentimes that's when you get a better, more balanced market. But also the number of listings tends to go down in the summer too. So I wonder, how is that going to work when there's nothing? Like, how do you go down from here?
I mean, the market is the market's broken.
It is broken. I've never seen this in my 25 years now selling real estate. We always see it's always something different, but I've never seen this particular combination of no inventory coming on, and then the buyers kind of holding back too at the same time.
The other thing I'm seeing with other folks I speak with is as interest rates drift back to 6%, demand goes up quickly. Your phone rings from potential buyers, right? Because again, 6 is not 7. And last week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was getting texts from people saying, oh my God, Michael, I got a quote, 599, 575. So sub 6. The problem is if we go sub 6, demand goes up. Even demand goes up 10%. It goes up with no more supply. This is offer review date, lines out the door, especially for entry-level homes. Beth, it is so broken. I mean, It's just broken. I don't know what's going on.
I laugh because it's either laugh or cry. I don't know, but the yeah. So one of the things that I've been thinking about in the last handful of days is because the spring selling surge didn't happen.
Never happened.
And if rates do tend to trend down in the coming months, and those buyers are still out there and want to buy, that will get them off the fence. We have no inventory, and if it goes down even more over the summer, it is a combination of things are gonna fire up. And I've never seen that happen later in the year, but this year it might. I'm wondering if it might, because like you said, if the inventory goes down even more and the interest rates come down too, then it's gonna just light a fire on everything. So
Yeah, the unfortunate reality of what February proved with concrete evidence is when rates approach 6, demand goes up. It does nothing to spark supply.
nothing at all.
Nothing.
Yeah. What I'm still seeing is the sellers that are selling now are people that are moving out of
Life events.
life
Right?
events. They're moving out of state. They need to get room for their mom who's moving in with them, or something where they just gotta make it work. Those are the
Yeah.
people that are selling.
And that's
right
why we do 4 million transactions and not 7,
now.
because
Mhm.
life events happen. But
Yeah.
what we need to work is the move up buyer. We need that buyer, we need that seller and that buyer. I am afraid they're out of the market for 2 or 3 years. I think this spring selling season will be repeated next year.
I think you're probably
Doesn't
right
make me
about
feel
that.
good.
I don't see anything happening that's going to create a significant change in that in the short term. It's going to take a while for these kinks to get ironed out. I mean, they always do eventually, but
Mhm. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, Beth, instead of being the top agent, I'm going to ask you to take that hat off and put on your investor hat, which you are one of those as well. What I guess one of the things that you and I would be looking at as another investor is we need to be shopping for homes that are well used, aren't clean, smelling pretty, maybe takes cash or hard money to get done. Because yes, there's a lot more demand, but most of those people need loans and those properties don't qualify.
yeah.
Are you seeing those? Are you hunting for those?
Yeah, so I'm always on the lookout. And so, yes, I mean, the ones that I would look for if I was looking, when I am looking as an investor, is the ones that have been on the market for a long time, priced a little higher. Maybe they were priced high and now they're shop worn. They could be priced right now, and then you can come in lower. The ones that smell bad, the ones that have the junk, those ones, they're always out there. And there are some motivated sellers out there still who need things to move. And I've seen a lot of houses that aren't even that bad be on the market for 150 days.
Time
Those
for
are
a
the ones.
disrespectful offer.
Yeah.
Why not?
Put it out there. Yeah. And I think that it's almost expected, I
At
think
that
those
point, yeah,
listing agents
150,
are
yeah.
expecting it. And they probably been tested a few times, and sometimes somebody else might have tried it and kind of warmed it up for you. And then
Mhm.
maybe they do a price drop, and then you come in again and they might be ready. So it's
Yeah.
just a matter of just keeping your eye out there, studying your buy box, getting out there and seeing these houses, and
Don't give up.
do
Don't
not
give
give
up.
up. There's opportunities in every single market. Over 20 plus years of being an investor, it has always had challenges. It just what those challenges are varies from market to market as we go through time and different changes, and cycles. But it's always a challenge, but there's always opportunities in every single circumstance. So it's just a matter of just knowing what to look for and being tenacious.
Yep. Folks, if you want to operate or work with a top 1% agent in King County, Seattle, East Side, you got to reach out to Beth Traverso. If you're in the One Rental at a Time private Facebook group, feel free to ask her a question. She is interactive. She is there. And we also get her every Tuesday on this
Yeah.
great channel. Beth, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. See you guys.